I'm Jeff Paur, senior writer for RealTime Fantasy Sports. Welcome to another edition of the RealTime Fantasy Sports Show. On today's RealTime Fantasy Sports Show, I'm going to give you 5 hot plays for week 3 of the fantasy season. Yes, we're in week 3 already. It's flying by the season. 2 weeks into it. Last week was a bit of a disaster with all sorts of injuries. The good news was there was at least some big fantasy performances in week 2. Hopefully that's a trend going forward. And here are 5 players that I think could have huge weeks in week 3. All right, my first hot play for week 3 is James Conner. So how about that timeshare last week, folks? Yeah, really happened, didn't it? No, Benny Snell, nowhere to be found, had just a handful of carries, 3 carries in the game. James Conner dominated the work, had his first 100-yard game of the season. He looked healthy. He gets to play the Texans this week. They're 31st against the run, allow the 9th most fantasy points to running backs. I think Conner's going to have a big showing in this one, and he should be inserted in all fantasy lineups if you have him on your roster. All right, another hot play for me in week 3 is DK Metcalf of the Seahawks. He has 4 receptions, top 90 yards, and scored a touchdown in each of his first 2 games. He has been very good to start the year, showing his big-time potential, made some big plays in the passing game, some spectacular catches. He plays the Cowboys this week, who have been burnt by the pass each of their first 2 games. Dallas allows his 7th most fantasy points to receivers and 268 passing yards per game. Fire up Metcalf in your lineups for week 3. Another hot play for me this week is 49ers running back Jerick McKinnon. McKinnon really is the last man standing for the 49ers. He's kind of the last man up with Tevin Coleman, Raheem Mostert, both injured. But McKinnon's played well with his few chances this year. He's TDs in each of his first 2 games. He had just 3 carries last week, but managed 77 yards on those carries. He's been very explosive with the ball in his hands. He's going to get a lot of touches this week as the lead back for the 49ers, and he plays the Giants, who allow 138 rushing yards per game. I think McKinnon's a legit number 2 fantasy back in this matchup. All right, another one of my hot plays for this week is Ryan Tannehill. Yes, I'm a Ryan Tannehill believer now. He had a great finish to last year. Second half of the season was spectacular. Wasn't sure if he could keep it up, but he has certainly done that so far to start this year. 6 touchdowns without an interception his first 2 games. Plus, he has at least 239 plus passing yards in each of those games. Plays Minnesota this week, 28th against the pass. They've been very susceptible to the pass to start the year. I think Tannehill is going to keep up his hot start and have another big showing in week 3. All right, my last hot play for this week is Marquez Valdes-Scantling with Green Bay. So I think Davante Adams is going to play. It seems like he avoided the worst with his hamstring injury. But even with him in the lineup, Valdes-Scantling's played well this year for Green Bay. He has 60-plus yards each of his first 2 games. A lot of people talk about Allen Lazard as the guy opposite Davante Adams, but Valdes-Scantling has actually been targeted 13 times. So that's very encouraging for me. He's getting a lot of looks on a weekly basis for Green Bay. Plays the Saints this week, a team that allowed the Raiders to throw all over them last week. So I think that really bodes well for Green Bay in this passing game. I think Valdes-Scantling can have another good showing in this matchup. All right, those are 5 hot plays for week 3 of the fantasy season. I hope you have a lot of success this week in week 3 and you win all of your fantasy matchups. This has been Jeff Paur for RealTime Fantasy Sports. Have a great day.